I work in the field of disease modeling and dynamical systems, and my research focuses on hepatitis B. So in my MPhil and PhD thesis, I examine the cellular interaction and control of hepatitis B infection. And again, you can find more information of my current research project on my university profile, and also reach me by email, which I've made available to the organizer. So I'm sure it will be on the flyer. So if there's a need for any collaboration or any other thing, we can share or exchange mails and take out from there. Now today, my presentation, I'm going to present some field results which has come out from an ongoing research. And I want to look at the role of the memory CD8 plus T cells in immune response to COVID-19, a mathematical modeling perspective. So we want to look at how we can easily understand how the immune system also fights against this COVID-19. So we are going to really focus on the role of the memory CD8 plus cells. Now, so if you all agree with me, in the last 2 to 3 years, the globe has been battling with a pandemic. And okay, so basically, as I mentioned, let me just run you through some of the things I'll be talking about. So as I said, I'll just look at some introduction of the COVID disease, and also take you through some immune responses to this viral infection. And under this, we'll look at the innate immune response, also look at the adaptive immune response. Now come out with some mathematical perspective of this model, consider some sensitivity analysis of the model, look at some numerical results, and come out with some findings. So that is what we're going to do in this talk. So as I said, in the last or past 2 to 3 years, the globe has been battling with this pandemic, and the virus is called the SARS-CoV-2, and the disease it causes is named or has been named the coronavirus disease 2019, which is mostly abbreviated as the COVID-19. So we can say that COVID-19 is the disease caused by this new virus known as the SARS-CoV-2. So throughout this talk, I would like to refer to the virus as the SARS-CoV-2 and the disease as COVID-19. Now, the SARS-CoV-2 virus is a novel strain. It's a novel strain, meaning that it is new. And as a result, humans are yet to develop immunity to the COVID disease, and therefore can be infected. And again, acquired immunity is when humans have been exposed to or vaccinated previously to an infectious agent. An example is when people have measles in their childhood or are vaccinated, they develop antibodies and a certain level of protection against this disease. So we said that earlier on, many of these patients at the epicenters of the outbreak, that is in Wuhan province, has some link with this, or let's say which has a link with this outbreak to some extent, has large seafood and live animal market. So the earlier suggestions were that it's how to do with animal to person spread. And later on, a growing number of patients also reported with this disease did not have exposure to this animal market. So indicating that there is a likelihood of a person-to-person spread as well. So with this person-to-person spread was subsequently reported outside this Hubei province in China, and including some places in the United States and Europe as well, and other parts of the world. So up to date, every country on the earth has experienced some community spread of the virus. And when we talk of community spread, it simply means some people have been infected, and it is not known how or where they became exposed. Now, while the fight to find the effective and permanent cure for COVID-19 continues, to challenge scientists, and great progress has been made in discovering new information and successful treatment to end this disease. So the current COVID-19 vaccine provide narrow protection against the strains included in the vaccine, and this needs to be reformulated to accommodate the constantly evolving new strains. So this has been a kind of motivation to this work. So we are saying that to be able to come out with vaccines to give us a good cure or protection, then we must know how the immune system itself is trying to fight, so that we can use that to build good memory in our system, so that our system becomes stronger, or let's say immune to this disease. Now, globally, as of 28 October this year, there have been a little over 600 million plus confirmed cases worldwide. And out of these confirmed cases, we have over 6 million there's a death reported out of this case. And we also have a sizable number of people who have also been vaccinated, who are taking in some kind of vaccines against this disease. And if we look at the history of this disease or this infection, realize that it was first reported in Africa and in Egypt, to be precise, on the 14th February 2020. And today, as we speak, in Ghana, we have also over 170,000 reported cases, and out of this 170,000, we have about 1,500 plus death cases. So we are saying that the disease mainly affects the respiratory system, that is the lungs and airways that allow us to breathe. And to get to the bottom of this disease, then there is a need to look at the immune system of, or let's say to come up with a model that will help us fight this pandemic that is bothering the globe. Now, the source of this virus is not yet known, but they have a lot of scientists have given us some leadway. So it is known to have originated from animal source, likely in bats. That are some of the information that we have about this disease. And the first reported infection in China were linked to live animal market. Again, as I mentioned again, the virus is now spreading from person to person, and therefore a lot of investigation is taking place to understand how this virus spread. And there is also a lot of work going on to try to develop vaccines to protect people from the virus, but none are yet, let's say, we don't have a comprehensive vaccine that is there for this disease. So we want to give a brief history on the immune system. So we realize that the immune system can be categorized into two biological systems, namely the innate and adaptive immunity, which is composed of cells and mediators that interact in a complex and a dynamical network to protect the host against any foreign pathogens, and to also simultaneously maintain the tolerance towards a self-antigen. So basically, that is the work of this immune system. Now, nowadays, understanding the dynamics of the immune response during disease progression, such as the coronavirus disease, among other diseases, including the drug response, present a major challenge to biologists, physicians, and even engineers. So the immune response to COVID-19 virus mainly occurs in two compartments. That is the lining of the respiratory tract, which is the actual site of infection, and the secondary lymphoid tissues, where expansion of the virus specific T cells occurs. The model also includes the target, or let's say the model that we're going to talk also include the target cells, or otherwise the uninfected cells, in which the virus can replicate. And the virus and the key subpopulation of the CD8 plus cells in the lymph nodes and the resident cells in the lung. So basically, we are going to look at all these populations in our model that we're going to discuss this morning. Now, the medical and biological research has also been proposed to help guide medical care providers and health policy makers throughout this anti-epidemic fight, or in understanding that is the within host patterns of virus transmission, in determining the best practice for treatment and prevention. But as we say, it is still not well understood why some infected individuals experience only mild symptoms, with some even remaining asymptomatic, whilst others experiences severe respiratory symptoms and even death. So while many useful mathematical models have looked into various aspects on modeling the epidemiological dynamics of the SARS-CoV-2 and answering questions about the population level effects of the intervention, such as the vaccination and treatment, and that of the immune response during infection. Our interest in is to address this question, but protective immunity within the vaccinated individual. So this requires deeper knowledge on how innate cells respond to multiple vaccine encounters. So basically, what we intend doing, we are going to basically look at or let's say categorize the immune system, as I mentioned earlier on, introduce two categories, that is the innate immunity and the adaptive immunity. And we know that with the innate immunity, the intermediate, or let's say the intermediate response to any wild array of substance. And this can also be classified into that is the skin or the mucosal membranes, or we also have the non-specific internal defense. So with this model, we are going to focus on the non-specific internal defense. So we are going to look at the cell example of some of this. We're going to look at the macrophages, the NK cells and stuff, the dendritic cells, and so we are not so much looking at the skin or the mucosal membranes. We are looking at the non-specific cells, that is with the innate response. And again, with the adaptive response, which is mostly the secondary line of defense, this is also referred to as a delayed response to specific antigens. So again, in this area also, we'll be looking at the T lymphocytes, the B lymphocytes, and so on. So these are some of the cells that we want to play around to see how we can come up with a good defense against this pandemic. So as I mentioned earlier on, when the virus enters the body, now it encounters, or let's say the cell can recognize some markers on the infected cell, and this results is in the non-specific antiviral activities, as I mentioned earlier on. So the cells in the innate system comprises of the macrophage, the neutrophils. We also have the natural killer cells and also the dendritic cells. So in this model, we will look at how these cells help transmit information and how they also help in combating this disease. Now, again, with adaptive immunity, as I also mentioned, we're going to look at the T cells, and we see that these T cells recognize cells that are infected within the specific virus and rapidly increase the number to tackle the infection. So within this, we can talk of the CD4 plus, which are helper cells, and we also look at the CD8 plus cells, which can also be classified as the cytokine. So we realize that the CD plus, they are fighting against, mostly fighting against this disease, but with the CD4, they help in boosting other cells in the fight against this disease. So again, the B cells also, we look at the these cells also produces antibodies that are also specific to the virus. So when these are triggered, they also produce some antibodies that are specific to the COVID virus, and they come in to attack this virus. And you also have, they leave some kind of memory so that you'll be immune to subsequent infection. So these are some of the things we want to look at. So we want to look at this in the mathematical perspective. So we are saying that in order to analyze the various aspects of the immune response to this SARS-CoV-2 infection, we consider interplay between the SARS-CoV-2 infection and the immune response. So we want to build a methodology of some earlier, we want to build on some earlier researches which were done with respect to influenza models. And in this model, we want to look at 9 different variables, namely the targeted cells. There's a concentration of targeted cells. We also look at the infected cells, look at the virus, and also look at the innate immunity, that is the cytokines. Then we also look at some population of the CD8 plus cells. That is, we are looking at the precursor cells. We also look at the proliferating cells, the central memory cells, and also finally look at the resident, that is the resident cells. So basically, these are the classes that we're going to look at. So trying to look at some assumptions from this schematic diagram that we have here. We are saying that, please, I hope you can see the moving on the slide.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much. So during the infection, we are saying that if there's any pathogen or any free virus, this can affect the susceptible, that is the targeted cells. And when these targeted cells are infected, they now produce new virus particles, and they will give us this infected cells. So there's interaction of this, and this infecting other cells. This how do you call it? Uninfected cells, and they also become infected. Now we are saying at the time there is an infection rate that is a beta, which represents the rate of infection of the susceptible target cells by the free virus. So in the model, we realize that there is some infection rate which is happening there. And again, the infected cells also activate the innate immunity, because we say that is the first line of our defense. The innate immunity is also activated. So when there are infected cells, there will be a sensor that will signal the innate immunity that we have seen some foreign materials in this, and therefore that is also activated to fight against these cells. So as I said, the infected cells also activated the innate immunity, which differs from the adaptive immunity, because you know that the adaptive immunity is the second line of infection, which is being that is a saturable response, that is having a maximum scale of unit. So similarly, we are saying that the rate of activation of this innate, so when this is activated, that is the innate immunity is activated, then we say that the rate of activation of the innate immunity also depend on the number of infected cells. So the rate at which this is also dependent on the number of infected cells. And it's also I want to use what we call the half maximal, where our infected cells is going to be equal to that is far subscript M. And again, we also have the innate immunity, which causes the uninfected cells to become refractory. So realize that when this is activated, they now cause this target cell to also become refractory, so that in this case, we will not get more infected cells in the system. And again, based on the earlier model, as I mentioned, we want to assume that during the time scale of the acute infection, the production of new target cells can be what? So in this case, we are just assuming some constant production of this targeted cell. And again, the T cell proliferation occurs in response to what the antigen and the secondary lymphoid organ. So we said that before the that is with the adaptive immunity, that is the second line of defense. We also assume the rate of which antigens is brought in to the lymphoid by the dendritic cells, and is also proportional to the amount of virus in the site of what infection. And the number of the viral specific CD8 plus cells, CD8 plus T cells in the lymphoid at the onset of what infection. So we are saying that we introduce this CD8 plus cells. So we are saying that we have a population of 4 different groups. That is the precursors T cells. We also have the proliferating T cells, the central memory T cells, and also the resident T cells. So we are saying that the number of the virus specific CD8 plus cells in the lymphoid node at the onset of infection, that is T subscript P. So we are looking at this, that is the onset, that is what, and which include both the naive and the memory T cells, and they are recruited into the population of proliferating cells. So this is recruited here, and realize that this will now proliferate, or let's say replicate in multiples to fight against this disease. And again, we also have that is the proliferating cell, that is the T, at a rate proportional to the amount of what? The antigen. So this is also where we are producing proportional to the amount of what? The antigen present. And we also have some proliferating cells migrate toward the respiratory tracts by sensing the cytokines generated through the activation of the innate. So there's a form of migration of the cytokines during the proliferation of. So we also have that. And as the antigen is cleared, we have a rate proportional to, that is one minus that, which is saying that the rate of clearing of this antigen is proportional to the that is, yes, the proliferation of these T cells. So with all these assumptions, and we can formulate a model, or let's say propose a mathematical model for the CD8 plus T cells, the virus, the immune response in this, or let's say we say these are governed by this system of differential equations. Now, and these are some of the parameter values that were defined in this model. So let's focus on some important results. So as the modeling process, we check for the feasibility of the solutions and other stuff. So we begin our analysis by finding the the steady state of this system. That is a system of equation that we saw in equation 1. So in this, the results we are presenting today, we are interested in some uniqueness in the disease-free equilibrium and also another equilibrium point, that is the immune-free equilibrium point. So with the disease-free equilibrium point, we have our values given by gamma over dt, and all values tend to 0. And with the immune-free equilibrium point, we also have our equation, that is E1, which are given by this set. Now, looking at this, we know that the steady state E0 is feasible for any values of parameters, whilst our immune-free equilibrium point, that is a E1, is only biologically feasible provided our R0 is greater than 1. And the linearizing the system near each of these steady states shows that our E0 and E1 are always stable. So in fact, we also looked at the global stability of these issues, but the results are in the main write-up. So we just presented some stability analysis of this. So as the earlier session rightly said, we want to really look at some sensitivity analysis on some of the results that we have there. So we conducted some sensitivity analysis on the model. So we said that the sensitivity analysis performed, or let's say performed to assess the changes in the model outcome as the parameter values are varied. And we examined the sensitivity of the peak values of the R0. So we just look at the R0 that we computed. We wanted to see how these peak values, and we are interested in determining what parameter maximize the peak values so that a longer lasting immune outcome can be realized from vaccination. So if we are able to do that, then we can really target that and know how we can prolong the assume the long lasting immunity correlates with this increased peak values. So we employ the scientific analysis method that include the Latin cubic sampling and the partial rank correlation coefficient, that's the PRCC, to study the effective, yes, we are trying to study the effect of the parameter variations on the key model outcome of interest, and that is the R0. So we use 10,000 sample from a uniform distribution over the parameter range, and we know that the PRCC values with the magnitude closer to a unit indicate that the parameter has a higher, which has the highest attainable significant impact on the model output. So looking at this graph, we can see that the parameter beta is close to the unit. So in this case, we can say that the parameter beta, which represents the rate of infection of a susceptible target cells by the free virus, has the most significant impact to the model as far as the R0 is concerned. Now, we also looked at some numerical simulations. We did some numerical simulation with respect to the disease-free state and also the immune-free state. So we realize that these numerical simulations were performed on the system using MATLAB with the parameter values in the table given or shown in the slides. Now, in this study, we proposed and analyze that is with this numerical results, the much needed immune, that is innate and adaptive immune response. Yeah, so looking at this graph, that is the targeted cells, the infected cells, the free virus. So we considered, or let's say we chose values that three different initial condition values. So that is what we, so in this case, realize that we try to analyze the global properties of the dynamics in the model. So we chose, so to attain these various conditions regard to the R0, we look at the fluctuations of these parameter values, and one of the sensitive, that is the R0, the values which was sensitive, we looked at the beta and that. So considering three different initial values, so for this targeted cell, we consider three different initial values, that is the IC1, IC2, and the IC3. So the first initial value we chose was 750, the second one was 1,000, and third one was 2,000. So we realized that the plots, we plotted the dynamics of the uninfected cells, and as shown in the, sorry, I didn't label the diagram, but that is the top left figure. This shows the targeted cells. So we can see that the virus, or let's say the immune cells, will attain, so they all attain equilibrium at, that is gamma over D. So we see that this exemplifies the condition when R0 is less than 1. So realize that when R0 is less than 1, the resulting trajectories in this diagram display that the uninfected cells concentration with different initial number gradually decrease. So that is what these infected cells are also given us. So realize that they all gradually decrease. And with the free virus, they also at least peak for some time and now become asymptotic to 0. And the same thing also applies to what the cytokine. So this is they all gradually increase with time before reaching the stabilized point. That is for this one. This one will reach the stabilized point at that is the 0.3000, which is indicating that, and that value, when we compute our disease-free point, we realize that with the disease-free point, we had this value to be gamma over dt. So with the parameter, when you compute this value, that is given as a 3,000. That is showing that that is the, so this depicts the, or let's say it confirms what we have there. And again, the infected cells, that is this infected cells, the free viral and the immune or the cytokines, we realize that with initial, they all initially take up and gradually decrease and eventually approaches what? 0. And this simulation affirms the global stability of the disease-free, that is E0, and consequently also validate the theoretical results from the theorem that were stated in our model. Again, we also conducted another simulation. In this case, we're looking at the immune-free steady state, that is E1. So again, the results trajectory that is in this diagram also display the concentration of the uninfected cell, the infected cell, the free virion, and also the cytokine. And they all exhibit some kind of fluctuating behavior for an interval of time with different initiating levels before converging towards their respective values. So if you look at we can see some fluctuation, but with that of the initial, sorry, so that of this is the previous one, we didn't see any fluctuations in here, but with the immune-free, we saw some fluctuations before they finally converge at this point. And a similar thing can also be said for the infected cells, the free virus, and the cytokines. We realize that with the different initial level before, we can also see that this immune-free steady state and the immune cells level with gradual declination approaches what? 0. So even though there are some fluctuations here, but they are also approaching or become asymptotic to this. So again, this also the global stability and also support the theoretical results that are also obtained. Let's say also this confirmed all the theoretical that we had. Now, in conclusion or in summary, we are saying that since the emergence of this COVID, global efforts have rapidly increased our knowledge on the immune response to this SARS-CoV-2, including the CD8 plus T cells response. However, information regarding to the role of this SARS-CoV-2 specific CD8 plus T cells in protective immunity is still limited. So a mathematical model is used to explore the role of the different memories CD8 plus T cells production in protecting against the SARS-CoV-2 infection, with particular emphasis on the interaction between the different branches of the immune system, including the innate immunity. So this captured the main features of the immune response to the SARS-CoV-2, a spatial heterogeneity and the migration between two locations were included in the model. And again, the two distinct populations which can give a very different protection mechanism is also shown. And to gain a better understanding of how the stability of different steady states affect the various parameters in the model, we perform some numerical simulation and some bifurcation analysis with the baseline parameter values given in the model. So we conclude, or let's say we conducted this analysis, and that is suppressing the adaptive immune response and avoiding the interference with the innate immunity response. Listen, so these are some remarks that we're trying to say. So of course, there are many open questions in the mathematical modeling that still need to be addressed, among others. And it is possible to model some new effects, such as the tons of the cytokine observed in the patients with the SARS-CoV-2. And it's also possible to incorporate other systems, such as the complements in modeling, etc. However, we say that it is important to have a good data set in order to calibrate the model. And it is clear that not much data available in this part of our world at the moment. In even unknown, same situation will be in other parts as well. But we have to remember the maxim between modelers. We say that the mathematical model is as good as the data it uses. So I'll say thank you for your audience, and we should still continue to remember the COVID protective measures, since we are still struggling to come out with effective protection against this. So we should still keep our distance, wash our hands frequently, and also sneeze or cough into our elbow, and wear our masks. So thank you very much for your audience.
All right, so thank you so much, Wiah, for your insightful presentation. And this brings us to the end of your presentation. And then we will take the next few minutes to have to entertain questions and comments from participants. But before we allow that, I just want to find out what the biological implication is of the immune-free equilibrium points. You talked about the immune-free equilibrium point. What is the biological implication of such an equilibrium point?
Thank you very much, Prof. So so with the immune-free equilibrium point, so realize that we basically considered some CD8 plus cells. We know in the course of the infection, the innate immunity is activated, and we need to get some specific virus-specific antigens to fight against this disease. So in this case, when these things are absent, we're just looking at how the disease also behave in the absence of these CD8 plus cells. So, you know, in this, we are basing our concentration on the CD8 plus cells, and we want to see how they also contribute in combating, or let's say giving that effective protection against disease. So in the absence of this, it still behaves similarly as the normal system. So if you take, let's say, someone with a weak immune system and an elderly one, let's say a younger person and an elderly person, we know basically that the young one normally has a good immune system that will normally fight any disease that are confronted. So in the absence of these CD8 plus cells, there are other cells that are fighting the disease, but it's not as effective as we would have if they are in there. I don't know if
all right, that's fine. Thank you so much. And so, colleagues, if you want to ask your question, you could raise up your hand, and then we allow you to ask your question or make your comments. Otherwise, you can send your question on the chat box, and we would read that to Wiah to respond. Thank you. So we have a question on the chat that reads on page 13. Can I know what is the difference between disease-free and immune-free equilibrium? I think that is what you just responded to, but you may go ahead to add more if you think there's the need to do that. Thank you.
Okay, so with the disease-free, we're just, and the concentration is in the absence of any virus in the system, what is happening. But with the immune-free, we are rather looking at the absence of this CD8 plus cells, what also happens. So one of them is concentrating the absence of the virus, how the system behaves. And one is also tailored towards in the absence of these CD8 plus cells. That is how I just termed that.
Thank you. So we have Ernest Danso Ado, whose hand is up. Please, Ernest, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, all of you. And thank you very much, Dr. Wiah, for a wonderful presentation. But my question is, in your earlier submission, you did indicate that people react differently to COVID-19. How does your model address that? You didn't incorporate that in your model. How does it address why people react differently to COVID?
Yeah, thank you very much.
And let me tag the second
Okay.
question so that you can answer both. And the second question is with regard to your disease-free, with the disease-free equilibrium. With the disease-free equilibrium, are we saying that all the other states go to zero with the exception of what? If you can explain it to me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. So the first question, as with others reacting to, or let's say other people reacting differently with this. Yes, I think that is a very good question. Now, realize that when I was ending, I did also say that because of availability of data, we are unable to get data on every person to be able to come up with a comprehensive model regards to that. So that assumption, so that part, we did not look at the other individuals. Yeah, we are just looking at how the immune system reacts in the first place, and we're trying to put that in the mathematical context. So realize that different system will act. Some system will produce more cells than others. So in a system where the cells let's say who produce more cells than others, which means the dynamics will be slightly different from that of other let's say another patient whose system does not produce enough cells to fight this disease. So we just look at it holistically, but we didn't incorporate the different types of that is patients who react differently to this disease. And again, with the second part of your question, if I got you right. So realize that we are looking at that is our DT, which is simply the uninfected cells or the targeted cells. So we are assuming that in the when there are, let's say, in the absence of any viral infection. So realize that this disease, everything goes to extinction. So these terms will go to zero with the exception of the target cells. You know that in the target cells itself, it has its normal growth rate of what production of what cells, even in a normal system. So that term will not go to zero with the exception of, but these other terms will all go to zero when, excuse me. So that is the results of what I can say to the second part of the question. I don't know if.
Yeah, if I can come in. The third equation will not go to zero, would it? Okay, would. Okay, yeah. I think I'm with you. I understand, because I was thinking, some of the cells in our body, apart from those that must must respond to. Otherwise, others are already in the system. You understand? So that was what I was thinking. Oh, okay. But I think I understand what you just said. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you too.
So thank you so much. Any more questions or comments?
Yeah. So my quick question is, did you use realistic data for your simulation or you just made some assumptions on your data, your lambda, gamma, beta, and all these
Yes. So
variables?
yeah, thank you very much. So most of the parameter values are from other researches and a few ones were also assumed from my side. So they are, this is not a clinical data. So as I said, this is still an ongoing research. So we still need to validate and see how realistic this model will be. So we are still trying to get